Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share with you a Reddit story about love fading quietly, the unbearable weight of being left behind, and the painful strength it takes to let go of someone who still loves you. Let's dive right into it. If someone told me that love alone wasn't enough to keep a marriage alive, I would have called them a cynic. But now, I think they might have been right. My name is Darren. I'm 28 years old, and I live in Melbourne, Australia. Up until 3 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life, a job I loved, a cozy apartment in the city, and most importantly, a wife who was my best friend, my partner in everything, and the love of my life. Chloe and I met in university. She was studying graphic design. I was buried in computer science lectures. We crossed paths at a mutual friend's birthday party. She had this laugh, bright, effortless, and just a bit mischievous, that pulled me in instantly. It didn't take long before we were inseparable. We were that kind of couple people admired, sometimes even envied, always holding hands, always inside jokes, always team us against the world. We dated for 5 years before getting married. The wedding was intimate, full of warmth, and everything we dreamed of. For the first 2 years of our marriage, life was peaceful, full of small rituals, Friday pizza nights, long walks with our dog Milo, spontaneous weekend road trips. It wasn't dramatic. It was simple. It was ours. But sometimes, comfort can be a slow, silent killer of desire, and I didn't see it coming. At the start of this year, my company offered me a temporary assignment in Singapore. 3 months, great pay, excellent for my resume, and I could work on a product I was passionate about. Chloe was hesitant at first, but supportive. She encouraged me to go. We'll video call every day. It'll fly by, she said. And it did, or at least it did for me. We called, we texted. I sent her little gifts from local markets. I thought we were fine. I was even planning a surprise trip for the two of us once I got back. A romantic weekend in Tasmania. Something to thank her for holding down the fort while I was gone. But when I came back, something was different. Chloe smiled, hugged me, kissed me, but I felt it, that slight hesitation in her body. The way her eyes lingered on mine a second too long, like she was trying to remember how they used to feel. I brushed it off as exhaustion. Maybe she was just overwhelmed. 3 months alone could do that. But then came the silence. The absence of those random I love yous. The subtle dodging when I reached for her hand while watching TV. The long hours she spent alone in the studio, painting things she wouldn't show me. When I asked, she said, just something for me. That phrase started to repeat itself. I need some time for me. I'm just figuring things out. Nothing's wrong. Darren, stop worrying. So I waited. I gave her space. I didn't push. I thought, maybe this was a phase. Then, one night, I came home from work and found her sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of tea in her hand, untouched, gone cold. Her eyes were red. She had that look, the kind of look people have when they've already rehearsed something painful in their heads 1,000 times. I sat down across from her. My throat was dry. She said, "We need to talk." I didn't say anything. I just waited. Then came the words I never thought I'd hear. I think I want to separate. Time slowed. I blinked. My ears rang. I asked, quietly, "Did something happen?" She shook her head. "No, you didn't do anything wrong. That's what's killing me. You're amazing. Darren, you've always been so good to me. Better than I probably deserved. But I feel like I'm disappearing. I don't know who I am outside of us. And I need to find out." She started crying, and I just sat there, frozen. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't betrayal. This was worse. This was someone I loved, calmly telling me she no longer wanted the life we built together, even though she still loved me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her why she was doing this. Why now? After everything. But I didn't. Instead, I asked, "Are you saying you don't love me anymore?" She looked devastated. "No, Darren, I still love you. That's the problem. If I hated you, this would be easier." I felt the ground beneath me shift. How do you fight for something when the enemy isn't another person, but your partner's sense of self? For the next few days, we lived like strangers under the same roof. I tried to act normal. I made breakfast, brought her coffee, even joked about Milo chewing up one of my socks again. But her laugh didn't reach her eyes anymore. She started sleeping in the guest room, said she needed mental space. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Maybe she was just overwhelmed. Maybe she'd snap out of it once she realized how much we had. I even suggested therapy, couples counseling, anything. She agreed. We booked 2 sessions. In the first one, she cried. I opened up. The therapist asked us to talk about what we feared most. I'm scared I'll lose myself forever, she said. I said, I'm scared I'll lose her forever. The second session didn't go as well. Chloe barely spoke. I could feel her slipping further away with every passing minute. One night, I found her journal on the coffee table. I didn't mean to pry, but it was open, like it was waiting to be read. My eyes landed on a line that burned into my memory. I love Darren deeply, but I think I love the idea of who we were more than who we are now. I closed the journal and went to the balcony. The night air was sharp. It cut through me like her words had. I kept wondering, had I done something wrong? Had I made her feel caged? Was I too predictable? Too stable? Was I boring? The self-doubt seeped into every part of me. At work, I couldn't focus. At home, I tiptoed around my own wife, terrified of triggering more distance. And then came the moment that broke me. I came home early from work, hoping to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place. She wasn't in the apartment. Her phone was on the kitchen counter. Milo was whining at the door. It was raining. I waited. An hour, then 2. When she finally came in, drenched, hair stuck to her face, she looked startled to see me. I just went for a walk, she said, for 3 hours. In the rain. She avoided my eyes. I needed to think. I don't know what came over me, but I said it. Are you seeing someone else? She looked wounded. No. God. No. Darren? It's not about someone else. It's about me. I need to feel free. I need to figure out who I am without being your wife. That word, your wife, landed like a blow. Not my husband. Not us. Just a role she wanted to escape. The next day, she packed a bag. She said she was going to stay with her sister for a while. Not forever. Just some time. I nodded. I didn't argue. I couldn't. After she left, the apartment felt hollow, like the soul had been sucked out of it. Even Milo seemed confused, waiting at the door long after she was gone. I started waking up at 3 a.m., not from nightmares, but from the absence. No soft breathing beside me. No sleepy hand reaching for mine. Just cold sheets and a silence that screamed. I found myself scrolling through old photos, our wedding day, our trip to Queenstown, her silly faces on our couch. All of it felt like someone else's life. How do you hold on to someone who doesn't want to be held? Worse yet, how do you let go without breaking into pieces? 2 weeks? That's how long it had been since Chloe left. Every day felt like a slow-motion movie, where I was stuck in a loop of pretending to be okay. Wake up, feed Milo, work, cook for one, sleep in a bed that felt like an ocean. Repeat. I didn't text her, not because I didn't want to, but because I was scared of the silence that might follow. Then one evening, out of nowhere, I got a message. Can we talk? I'll come by tomorrow around 6. My heart punched my chest. I stared at the screen, wondering what version of her would walk through the door. The Chloe I married or the Chloe who wanted out? When she arrived, she looked different, not physically. Emotionally, calmer, more centered, like she'd made peace with something. That terrified me. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. Milo curled at my feet. Sensing the tension, she didn't waste time. I've decided I'm going to move out permanently. And there it was. The moment I'd feared, wrapped in a single sentence. I said nothing at first. My throat was tight. My jaw clenched so hard I thought I might crack a tooth. Finally, I managed. So that's it? After everything, you just walk away. She looked down. I know it's not fair. I know I'm being selfish. But I can't keep pretending I'm okay, being someone I don't recognize anymore. What does that even mean? Chloe, my voice cracked. We were happy. We were safe, she corrected. And maybe that should be enough. But for me, it's not. I've spent so much of my life being what people expected me to be. The good student, the supportive partner, the loving wife. But I don't know what I want anymore. and I can't figure it out while living the life we built together. So I'm the anchor holding you back." "No," she said gently. "You were the lighthouse. You showed me safety. But now I need to learn to swim." That metaphor hit harder than anything she'd said. I stood up. I needed space, air, anything. I walked to the balcony and stared out into the city lights. They blurred through the tears I didn't want her to see. "Was there ever a chance we could have fixed this?" I asked, barely louder than a whisper. She joined me outside, wrapped in the silence between us. Then she said, "Maybe, but I didn't want to fix something if deep down I wasn't sure I still wanted it." That broke me. I turned to face her. "So what were we, Chloe?" "Just a beautiful phase." She stepped forward, her hand brushing mine. "No, we were real. You were real. I just changed. And maybe that was the worst part. She hadn't betrayed me. She hadn't lied. She just changed. And I couldn't change with her." She stayed for another half hour, discussing logistics, splitting the lease, sorting bank accounts. Who would keep Milo? I offered to keep him. She agreed without hesitation. After she left, I sat on the couch for hours, Milo beside me, the lamp still on, her tea mug still on the table from weeks ago. It was cold now, just like everything else. That night, I finally let it all out. Not just quiet tears, but the kind of cry that rips through your chest, the kind that leaves you shaking, gasping, feeling like you're going to fall apart and never find the pieces again. I cried for the mornings we made pancakes in pajamas, for the nights we stayed up watching bad reality shows, for the future we planned kids, road trips, growing old together. But most of all, I cried for the version of me that believed love could conquer everything, because now I wasn't so sure anymore. In the weeks that followed, everything became quieter, too quiet. At first, I moved through the days like a ghost. I'd wake up, half expecting to hear Chloe's voice humming in the kitchen or the sound of her sketch pens clattering on the table. But all I heard was silence and silence. When you're heartbroken is the loudest sound in the world. Friends reached out. I dodged them. My parents called. I let it ring. Even Milo seemed different, less playful, more watchful, as if he knew something was off, but couldn't quite name it. I threw myself into work. I started running again. I reorganized the apartment, new curtains, changed the scent of our candles, moved the furniture around. It helped a little. But the truth is, healing isn't linear. It doesn't follow a straight path. Some mornings I woke up feeling okay, even hopeful. Then something as small as finding one of her earrings under the bed would send me spiraling back. There were nights I stared at her Instagram profile, wondering what she was thinking, if she missed me, if she was happier, if she regretted leaving. But I never reached out. I didn't want to be a reminder of the life she'd left behind. About a month later, I ran into her sister, Claire, at a bookstore downtown. We hadn't seen each other since the breakup. She smiled kindly, but it was a sad smile. "She's doing all right," Claire said when I asked. "It's been hard on her too. She still talks about you." That stayed with me for days. I wanted to know what Chloe said, whether she missed our dog, our home. Oh, me. But I didn't ask, because I finally realized something. I wasn't waiting for her to come back anymore. I was learning how to live without her. One night, a couple months later, I was cleaning out a drawer and found a note she'd written me on our first wedding anniversary. It read, "Thank you for loving me, even when I'm hard to love. Thank you for seeing me, even when I don't see myself." I sat with that for a long time, and I thought about how ironic it was, because in the end, that was exactly what happened. I loved her, even when she couldn't love herself inside the version of life we had created. And maybe that was the most selfless kind of love. The kind that holds on when things get hard and lets go when someone needs to find themselves. I won't lie and say I stopped loving her overnight. I didn't, but I began to love myself again, piece by piece. Not the version of me that was just her husband, but the man I had become over the years. A man capable of loving deeply, of being gentle, patient, devoted. And that wasn't something to mourn. It was something to be proud of. 6 months later, I didn't cry when I thought of her. That was a victory in itself. It wasn't that I had stopped caring about Chloe. I think a part of me always will. But the ache that used to consume me, the heaviness in my chest every time I walked through our front door, had softened into something else, something like acceptance. Life moved on, even when I thought it couldn't. I took on a new project at work. I finally visited my brother in Perth. I started seeing friends again, laughing again. I even adopted a second dog, a little rescue pup named Toby. Milo seemed to approve. And then came the unexpected moments, the kind that tell you healing is working its quiet magic. Like when I passed by the art store where Chloe used to buy her paints and didn't flinch. Or when her favorite song played at a cafe, and instead of leaving, I stayed and smiled. One evening, I found myself scrolling through old photos, not out of pain, but out of nostalgia. There we were in Bali, covered in sand, sunburnt and laughing. There she was in the kitchen, dancing while mixing pancake batter. They weren't daggers anymore. They were memories, beautiful, flawed, bittersweet memories. And I began to understand that not all love stories are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach us something, to grow us, to crack us open so we can be rebuilt, stronger, wiser, more compassionate. Losing Chloe taught me that. I started journaling again. I started cooking not out of habit, but out of joy. I redecorated the living room, turning our wee space into something that reflected just me. And for the first time in a long while, I felt something unfamiliar, peace. Not the kind that comes from having everything figured out, but the kind that comes from finally letting go of what you can't control. One Sunday afternoon, while walking Milo and Toby through the park, I saw a couple sitting on a bench, fingers intertwined, laughing over something small, the kind of laughter Chloe used to have. I watched them for a moment, and instead of bitterness, I felt hope. Hope that maybe one day I'll find that again. Not the same, not a replacement, but something new, something honest, something that fits who I've become. Because I'm not the same man who stood at the altar, promising forever. I'm someone who learned that sometimes forever is just until someone needs to find themselves. And that's okay. Sometimes I wonder what I would say to her now if we ever crossed paths again. I think I'd thank her, not just for the years we shared, but for the silence that followed, for the pain that taught me resilience, for the love that taught me how to let go without hating. I'd tell her I'm doing okay, that Milo is still chasing birds like he owns the sky, that Toby is a bit of a rascal, but full of love, that the apartment feels like home again, different, but whole in its own way. And I'd hope, truly hope, that she found what she was searching for, because that's what love should be, right? Not just about holding on, but knowing when to open your hands. I still believe in love. Maybe not the fairy tale kind, maybe not the one that promises forever without change, but the kind that grows, adapts, listens, the kind that lets people evolve, even if it means growing apart. If you're listening to this and your heart feels heavy, I see you. You're not alone. And I promise, one day, the ache will turn into wisdom, the silence will soften, and when you least expect it, the sun will come through the window just right, and you'll feel it, the quiet joy of becoming whole again. You'll smile, not because it didn't hurt, but because you made it through. And if this story touched something deep inside you, if you've ever loved, lost, or found your way back to yourself, don't forget to hit subscribe. There are more stories like this waiting to find you. Thanks for tuning in to Reddit Stories. New tales drop daily drama, love, or ghostly glories. Hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss the next story we tell. Got thoughts to share? Drop them below. We read them all just so you know.